Because, I mean, it's not hard if you really want to shut down the rumors to have them walk the carpet together. And Blake Lively's not going to turn that down, because to have another female actress by her side right now that's publicly standing with her, she's going to take all the allies she can get. And right now, all she has is Amber Heard, and that's not looking too hot for her.
It's the Pop Report.
So juicy.
Hola, muchacho.
What's going on?
This daylight saving shit. Thank God.
I forgot. I didn't even realize that was like happening until someone told me that happened, and I was like, oh, the time changed today?
It's just like that winter depresso is real. Like, it's dark outside. It's not like you want to go anywhere, but we are hopefully going to be in a better state now that it's brighter outside.
Yeah, because, well, we lost an hour, right? Spring forward, so we lost an hour.
Fuck that hour. I want my brightness back. Like, at first you're like, it's cute, it's fun.
Let's keep this daylight savings time. Like, let's not fall backwards, because I don't like when we fall backwards.
Oh, we tried. And I remember Biden was like, let's keep it. And everyone's like, nope, voted against it.
Keeping the time? Yeah.
I'm just like, keep it.
I don't get why, and it's dumb.
It's a thing. Anyway, how is your life?
Great. I went to, it was my mom's birthday over the weekend, so we have family in town, and so we had a cousin that was in town, and we took her out for a drink, and then afterwards we were leaving to the parking lot, and we found out that my mother's car was not in the parking lot, and she freaked out, and she thought someone stole her car. And then we're like, are you sure it wasn't towed? And she's just like, no, it wasn't towed. Like, I paid the max whatever on the ticket, whatever. So and then her car had GPS. So we went tracking the car around downtown LA to see if we could find it. And then ultimately we found out that it had been towed. And then we had to go to the tow yard. And I mean, it ultimately ended up being like a total scam. It was a private parking lot. The tow truck guy, I guess, was waiting outside the parking lot to see who they could find. The ticket had just expired, but they like did a whole, like, it was so shady the way that it was all done. So I ended up having to pay $300 to get her car out. And that was like the best case scenario, because he's like, well, technically it's after hours, so if you don't cooperate, I can charge you more. And I was like, okay. And then my mom wanted to fight him.
Jesus.
She wanted to fight him, and she's just like, I'm a witch. I'm going to put a curse on you. And I'm like, can you not right now? Can you just
she could be. You never know.
She thinks that she is, and listen, she probably is, but I'm like, can you not tell the man that's about to charge my card that you want to put a hex on him?
I kind of just like want to have that as an excuse, and I'd be like, I'm a witch. I could banish you into
Sabrina
the
the
world.
Teenage Witch.
I am Sabrina.
How was your weekend?
I finally had a fucking day off from like not having award show central. So that was nice. But then I was like, what do I do with this free time? And I was like, fucking, I'm making tacos. So a girl finally had a home cooked meal on a weekend in a minute. So getting through that, doing the whole damn kit and caboodle. But I can't tell you shit of what I did. Honestly, I don't remember.
I ran a mile this morning in 5 minutes.
You should run more.
Thanks for the vote of support, Andy.
I mean, how was that mile?
Fast.
What was the time?
5 minutes.
Oh, cool. Great.
5:04.
Do it again.
Okay.
Consistency is the true art of achievement. Note that. Well,
all right.
Aside from that, congrats on your run. Congrats on life. Happy belated to your mother. We have a lot to get into, but we have some little reviews and comments to get to. I think people have really been enjoying us reading the horrible reviews that people leave on the podcast. So
what is that? What's that show where they have celebrities read mean comments?
You mean like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy
mean
Kimmel?
tweets? Is it Jimmy Fallon where they make all the celebrities sit there and read all the mean things people write about them on the internet?
I mean, maybe we should. So, all right. We have a comment on a recent episode. Are you ready for the haterade? Because get your thirst quenched. This one says, I really enjoy listening to Zack and Andy, and I look forward to them every week. Unfortunately, this episode was hard to listen to, and in my opinion, a flop. Say what you got to say. Donna is distracting, and I hope she doesn't become a regular on the Pop Report.
No. I thought that was a fun episode.
I mean, everybody, just like boogers, has an opinion. Aside from that,
who says that? Everybody has
heard that phrase.
No, I've heard everybody like opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one.
That too. This other positive review on Apple says, "You two are adorable and keep up the good work. Also, please continue to read the bad reviews in the podcast. The bad reviews are hilarious. Thank you, thank you, thank you." Well, that's nice. Aside from that, Zachary, just diving into the hot headlines, I saw you put something in here when I was like, "Can we record in the morning?" You're like, "Yes, we can." I was like, "Tight, cool." You have been keeping up with this story just as much as I have about Wendy Williams.
Mm-hmm. She was signaling from her, what is it? She's in a care facility, right?
Yeah.
Or is it an old folks home?
It's a care facility.
So she's in the care facility, and so there were paparazzi outside, and she put a sign saying that she needed help. She's like, SOS, save me, the Titanic is going down, basically. So then all the paparazzi were like, okay, let's save her. And so they took her to get evaluated. And the interesting thing is she actually was evaluated, and they determined that her mental capacity is fully intact, which means she's of sound mind based off of this evaluation. Now, we also know she was recently diagnosed with dementia. She's currently under a guardianship, very different from a conservatorship, which is like what Britney Spears and Amanda Bynes had, but she's under guardianship, and apparently she doesn't have a lot of decisions over her money. And so this could possibly, I mean, they didn't evaluate her for the dementia to determine whether or not she was misdiagnosed, but at least this evaluation seems positive for her regaining her freedom again, or at least getting into the care of possibly her family, who I know has been fighting to care for her, but seemed like a positive story. They said that her mental capacity was at 10 out of 10.
10 out of fucking 10. I saw the videos of her at the airport in the wheelchair in Miami, I think it was. I've seen obviously these photos, and Miss Wells Fargo really just said, you know what? We are going to assign you a guardian because we don't think you're of sound mind. And it's going to be interesting what happens, because this is the bank assigning that, and now that she is of clear and sound mind, even if you have dementia, you know, like I haven't really heard a lot of cases of the bank says, homegirl, you have dementia. We don't think you're capable of your finances. Like, I don't really hear that if even that often. Maybe it's not publicized because like we don't have, let's say, like celebrity status figures that do have an issue with finances, and it's like mismanaged behind the scenes because of said dementia, or we don't really hear of that, maybe because they have other support systems to help them. But Wendy,
well, no, but most celebrities have like a team or a business manager that already handle that for them.
Exactly.
That I would,
So this one, I'm like,
this is interesting. I'm very curious how Wells Fargo came to that determination, considering clearly if she's being evaluated and she can pass through this with flying colors. What was done to determine that she needed to be put under guardianship?
Don't know, girl. Don't know. What I also saw, she is going to be coming on The View.
Oh,
I think I saw that. And so I think the more publicly exposed that she is of clear and sound mind outside of these four walls of the facility, I think that people are going to start to have like a lot of chatter online too, and it's picking up because it's not like everyone's wondering, they're seeing her in public more on appearances on shows, so it's kind of like the Menendez brothers effect right now, where it's like a resentencing.
Did you see the news with the Menendez brothers?
Yes,
we can add that to the
top thing. It's just like the DA says they don't want to have like some sort of resentencing unless they admit to what they've done.
Right.
Which,
well, I have his statement right here.
Go for it.
I was looking at it this morning. I was like, I didn't have this on my notes for No Filter or the Pop Report. But so it says DA Nathan Hochman, he's withdrawing his request to reduce their life sentences. And so he's saying that he said that Lyle and Eric have failed to acknowledge that their claim of self-defense was fabricated and therefore have not taken responsibility for their crimes. He encouraged them to come clean and apologize if they want the DA's office to reconsider a potential sentencing. District Attorney Nathan Hochman made it clear today that he's holding Eric, Lyle, and our family hostage. This is what the Menendez brothers statement or their representative said. District Attorney Hochman made it clear today that he is holding Eric, Lyle, and our family hostage. He appears fixed on their trauma-driven response to the killings in 1989 with blinders on to the fact that they were repeatedly abused, feared for their life, and have atoned for their actions. Eric and Lyle are not the same young boys that they were more than 30 years ago. They've apologized for their actions, which were the results of Jose's essay and Kitty's enablement. They have apologized for the horrific actions they took. They have apologized to us, and they have demonstrated their atonement through actions and helped improve the countless lives. Yet DA Hochman is effectively asking them to publicly apologize to a checklist of their actions they took in a state of fear and shock.
And they say that that statement is not necessarily in just sound mind, because they said they lied 5 times about their story and the consistencies. It doesn't check out with the self-defense theory that the parties have put together. So it will be interesting to see what unfolds. Obviously, we had Gascon. He had dipped. He's no longer in it. So we have this new DA, and the DA is like, nope, don't want to go forward with it.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's interesting because I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this one. I'm torn because it's like he does say that he believes that the self-defense claim was fabricated. Now, their argument, to my understanding, is that yes, we did commit these crimes. Yes, we did do this, but I don't think that it was in self-defense necessarily. Or I guess I'm kind of torn because it's like technically they are claiming that there was an ongoing threat to them. But I don't know. Now, I guess months later, after watching the documentary and everything, I'm starting to be I believe that the abuse was real. I believe that there was an ongoing threat for sure. But just the way that the crime was committed, they came in from the door behind them. The mom. I don't know if I fully, agree with them taking her out too. Like it's layered, and I don't know. At first, I was like justice for the Menendez brothers, and now I'm kind of like, well, like they're not acknowledging that.
And you have to look at it as like a court of law. Usually when self-defense occurs, they're like, hey, who struck who first? And in this, it's like a series repeated of abuse. And so when it gets into this, the court of law is just like, where do we have some sort of justice? Because they really just fixate on the fact that like the mother is taken out as well. And they basically said like the mother, like Kitty, would have been very much like, she was very complacent with everything, and they had a very fear liability factor of like, if she is still alive, what happens to us, and would this abuse still continue in some form or a new form? So I have no idea. But the Menendez brothers behind the scenes, they've gotten married, they have like had a life in prison, they've been reformed. It's been a long time for them behind bars, but the resentencing is just something that the DA's like, I don't want them free. He's potentially open to some form of resentencing, but he doesn't want them free.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I still agree with what they were asking for, and that's to have their life sentence, but without parole. I think they should at this point, after serving, because I do feel like it's different between Lyle and Eric, right? Because Eric is the one that actually made the kill shot for both the parents, right? He's the one that took that. And it was premeditated. Like, they thought about this. They went and got an alibi. They bought a movie ticket. Like, there was a lot of premeditation that went into this and went into them trying to cover it up. So you can't eliminate those elements. I mean, yes, I do understand the abuse and the fear. And so and this is kind of where we have to rely on what the technicalities of the law actually say. But I do think that they should at least be up for parole after all this time. At the very least, Eric should. I understand Lyle because technically that is first-degree murder, whereas I do think Eric being more of an accomplice and being more of, the one that kind of begrudgingly went along with this, then I think at least from his standpoint, I think the manslaughter charge would be more appropriate, and at least giving him an opportunity to apply for parole and letting the parole board make that determination, that would be very different.
And we will see what happens.
Yeah.
But a new
That's
twist
Wendy,
and
and that's the Menendez brothers. That's our
And I was like, what's your segue? What are you trying to say?
Oh, I was leading up for you to segue into music news.
Oh, I thought you were like, and that's the Menendez brothers, and I was like, and that's music, the cue. Yeah, no. And a very big pivot, specifically, we have something also that's like not expected, but expected, which is Selena Gomez. So your girl, Selena, she's around. She is here. She's present. She and I almost said Bad Bunny, Benny Blanco, Mr. Ben, have announced that they have their new song coming out with a release date. So you saw, and we've talked about it, them collaborating on music, them doing their thing, their whole nacho bath. Don't know why that's still a thing. And they have shared, or at least Selena has shared online that they're looking back not only in their relationship where it started, but they're also using that to tie into their single release. So Selena said on Instagram, our first date was on Sunset Boulevard, and it's also the title of our next song together. So Sunset Boulevard out March 14th with at It's Benny Blanco. So she put in the caption too, P.S. This is our first official photo together. It's a black and white photo of the two of them laying, looks like on a couch. And so I'm assuming that's going to be the cover art maybe of this, but I'm not sure. So it's about them. Who knows? Maybe they're dating their time. They were first together in December of 2023. They got engaged recently. So I think they're very comfortable to put out cute photos of them as their cover art. I won't be surprised if it's the cover art. It would make sense.
Yeah. It's exciting. We got some new music from Selena.
I mean, that's
her man. I mean, haven't people learned not to do this? Like, didn't she take like she should learn from Halsey? You don't do music with your man.
I don't do music. Yeah, no, like I don't know. I think they feel confident and comfortable because they're engaged. Some may say, like what I've seen the chatter online for those who are very fixated on this. But she put a quote out a while ago. She said, I've been alone in the world. I was alone for 5 years before we got together. I think that really helped me appreciate someone like Ben. She also went on to say at one point, he gets weirded out by me saying this, but genuinely 10 years ago, I wasn't in a space in my life where I could have accepted the kind of patience, the kind of unconditional love that he gives me. So I think she's also just at a point where she's like, listen, say whatever you want, do whatever you want. I'm happy. I'm going to keep doing me, writing songs and doing my acting and, just living life.
Good for her. You know who else is ready to move on with her life?
Miss Smooth Fifth Harmony?
No, we haven't heard about them for a while. Anna Delvey, everyone's favorite convict.
What is she doing now?
She was on house arrest, and now she's been released.
Housewives.
Not housewives.
No.
She was on house arrest.
Can you imagine her as a housewife?
Actually, I can. With this new cast of Real Housewives of New York, where these women are like a lot younger, like she just kind of fits the aesthetic. But again, the show flopped. So I don't know. Maybe they need Anna Delvey to help make it better. I wouldn't mind seeing Anna Delvey on a Real Housewives show. I think that would be kind of fun.
That would be kind of interesting. She's a friend of.
No, I think she should be a full-time house. Well, now she can be because now she's been taken off house arrest. She's free. She's been released. She has her own apartment now, so she's no longer living at Kelly Catrone's apartment. She plans to work with Kelly Catrone more. She wants to do more fashion, do more art. I guess now she's like an artist, so she's ready to spread her wings and fly.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot of these pop-ups with her. Very interesting. We no longer have this anklet. That was the big thing on Dancing with the Stars everyone fixated on. And so we're now going to get this chance to, I guess, get to know her outside of it being fixated on her life as a convict, she's just going to be her life
convict music. Akon and Young
Nope,
Jeezy.
don't do it. Don't do it. I think it's going to be interesting because people will fixate on who really is she, what are her interests, instead of like she committed a crime, she swindled, whatever, wherever. Um, I don't know. I don't know how much depth we're also going to get out of her because we got some glimpses of her on Dancing with the Stars, which was a lot of pressure, a lot of focus. And so it seemed like it wasn't for her, like all of that attention at once. Also, competing on a show like that, probably not in her style. And she just wants to really focus on fashion, her day to day life, and just building her brand.
Yeah, and at least she has someone like Kelly Catrone that's in her court that can help her, kind of establish herself a bit more in New York. And I think Kelly is like her role model, her fairy godmother.
But where does the money come from right now? Like, okay, so riddle me this. You go to jail, your assets might be frozen. Who knows? I don't know if hers were frozen. What assets you do even have if you're
Yeah, I
someone
don't
like
even
her.
know what assets she even had.
I want to know what that apartment's like. Who's paying for that apartment? Like, is it on the Upper East Side? Donde está? So yeah, like just no idea. But I'm interested to see where she's gonna be in the next like 6 months. There's probably gonna be some sort of Glamour or Interview magazine feature with her of like her new life, and I will put money on that.
I don't know how she makes money. I mean, well, I guess her art, people must be buying her art. She looks like she's been doing a number of different appearances and magazine shoots. I would imagine she's possibly getting paid for those. These are all paid. Yeah, look, she looks like she's doing some stuff with Dance with the Stars. She just did a something for Dance with the Stars with Tori Spelling and Phaedra Parks. So I don't know. It appears she's got some gigs that she's working.
Do you think she will be at the same, let's say, realm as a Gypsy Rose Blanchard of that level, like of interest? Because we've had a lot of people who like have committed some sort of crime or let's say mission. You have Luigi Mangione, you have Anna Delvey, you have Gypsy Rose Blanchard. This is different. This is very different of like obviously other ones have death involved. But people are very fixated different on like the arc of these people having a comeback of some sort.
I mean, very different. Gypsy Rose orchestrated the murder of her mother, and Luigi literally murdered somebody in broad daylight and ran away. Whereas Anna Delvey just kind of ripped off a few rich people. Granted, it was a lot of rich people.
I mean, but everyone wants a comeback of someone who's.
Yeah, no, listen, I think I don't think Anna Delvey is interested in being a reality star, doing any of that sort of stuff. I think she wants to be a socialite. I think she wants to be in the New York fashion scene, and she seems to be doing a really good job of establishing herself in that world. Whereas Gypsy Rose was kind of just like a lost girl that ended up in prison after she took out her mom. And so I think Gypsy Rose is, people are fascinated by her story of and she's also just kind of like crazy. She's jumping from one man to the next, and she's going on TikTok and she's like, I don't want to steal your man. If I wanted your man, I would have your man. Like she does her whole thing, right? Whereas I think Anna Delvey isn't interested in, she wants to be more of a fashion socialite in New York rather than she wants to be on TV or like in reality TV or even in the world of celebrity. I just don't think that's of interest to her. So yeah, I think Anna Delvey will probably stay in that world and maybe will have a scandal here or there. But I think for the most part, she's not interested in not being outside of the New York scene or the fashion scene, right? She may even go to London at some point. I wouldn't be surprised.
London.
I think they're a little different.
Yeah. You know who else is a little different? You at your core. No, I'm kidding. It's Octomom. She's back. What is she doing? Like,
I haven't heard about Octomom forever. Not since she had the babies. And then she was a hot mess. I didn't realize she had the 8 babies, but prior to that, she had 6 babies, and she doesn't have a single baby daddy, right? Like she did it all on her own, IVF, which is wild. But yeah, I saw that she's been doing the press circuit lately because she has a new docuseries coming out.
What is she trying to promote? Like just
Her
the
new docuseries.
That's it? Okay. She's not starting a podcast?
No, she has a docu. Why do you need a podcast when you have a television show?
I feel like everyone's starting one these days.
Again, you don't need a podcast when you have a television show.
I mean,
so
who knows?
She and her kids, and now we get to actually meet the
Octuplets?
What are they called? Octuplets?
Sure. Go off.
Well, because they're the sextuplets, right? And are the 6 kids... Oh my God, it's been so long. Wait.
Math is hard. I'm half Indian. Don't give me shit. I want to say octuplets because
at least you know that you're half Indian this week. Last week you thought you were half Mexican.
I know. I really had a moment.
But so she's catching everybody up to speed. She's got this new there's, I think, a documentary and then a docu-series that's going to follow. There's some sort of special, and from the special is going to be like a full series where you get to meet all the kids and you get to know like the real story of the Octomom.
The real story of the Octomom, part 1, 2, 3, and 4.
It's just interesting to see her back again, and like she just seems very down. First of all, I want to know how she's affording all these damn kids, but she just seems very down to earth because she's like, when I walked away, oh yeah, see, she conceived. Okay, well, okay, so they're not sextuplets, so it's octuplets and then 6 other children, and they were all through IVF. So she had her first IVF treatment was in 1997. She was 21. 21. She had her first son in 2001, and then her daughter in 2002, did more IVF, had 2 more sons, Joshua and Aiden, and then she had twins, Calissa and Caleb, and that was...
Calissa?
Calissa, C-A-L-Y, like Alyssa, but with the C before it.
No, take it back. I'm
Calissa,
sorry.
Yeah,
that is a disservice to every name, child, gender. Calissa almost sounds like Kalua.
And then after that, in 2009, is when she had the the octuplets. So apparently she had 6. God, it's been so long since I've reviewed this. But she had 6 embryos left over from her previous IVF treatments. And then from there, she ended up having 8 babies. And I remember the 8th baby, they didn't even know was in there until she said that her intuition said that she felt one more baby inside her belly. And then that's when she gave birth to the 8th child. And this is the first time 8 babies have ever survived a single pregnancy. It's crazy.
Like, how do you fucking walk after that, too? That's my question. Like...
But, like, that's my thing is you already have 6 kids, and then you just gave birth to 8. Like, it's a lot when you have twins. And then she's
John
a
and
single
Kate
mom.
plus 8? This is like John and 8 plus 14 now. Like,
but at least Kate plus 8, like, the kids came, in pieces. Like, this was like, I already have pieces? 6 full...
How dare you talk about dismembering children?
This was like a full 8 kids, or sorry, full 6 kids, and then you add a whole fresh batch of 8 infant babies. Like, how do you afford 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 kids?
Well, in this final transition, we're gonna give like a little shout out to another hate comment of our Haterade reviews that probably might be fitting for this story. We have a comment from YouTube that I left out of our fun hate reviews earlier, and someone said, "Can we leave the pushy kindergarten teacher out of the pop report with the praise emoji?" We might need a pushy kindergarten teacher after 14 children running around in this story, though.
I know. It's just crazy what modern medicine can do. It can give you 8 children at once, but it can't fix Brandi Glanville's face.
You did good. You did good with that one. You really...
My transitions are normally very good.
It's okay. Normally.
Yeah.
So, have you been keeping up
with Brandi's fucked up face? Yes, I have. It's so bad. I mean, well, the crazy part is the last time we got an update.
Back up. We talked about this like a while ago.
Yeah.
Right?
But the last time we got an update. Oh, go ahead. And what?
No, I was gonna say you said the same thing. You're like her fucked up face.
Yeah.
Been keeping up with it. It's scary.
Well, she agrees that her face is fucked up and she wants somebody to fix it. And so, but last we heard, Terry Dubrow from Botch was going to fix her face. And then now she's like, my face is disfigured again. And she still doesn't know what's causing it or why. And every day she posts a new photo. And every day, like her face is just like constantly morphing and shifting. And there's something new going on with it. And nobody knows what happened to her face.
I don't even think she knows.
She doesn't, and she's like, she wants somebody to help fix it. But again, what happened to Terry Dubrow?
Wait in the wing, maybe for like a new docu special called "The Return of Brandi Glanville's Face." But she shared an update that says that there is, quote, oily, foul tasting drainage that's, quote, eating away at her teeth. So Brandi has been very obvious, like candid, as we said, about this. But on March 8th, she took to socials and she revealed the symptoms she's been having at these suspected parasites. She said, quote, I have painful lumps in the jawbone area, one on the side of the neck and one in the back of the neck. She also wanted to say, quote, I have chills and a constant oily, foul tasting drainage from face into mouth. It's acidic and is eating away at my teeth. Plus, all of my lymph nodes in my head and neck are swollen. Doctors at Kaiser say I'm fine. She put in all caps, help me.
I mean, I don't even like it's really there. My thought is it has to have been like a bad injection, which is what Dr. Dubrow was kind of thinking. Like maybe there was some sort of injection, some bacteria got into her face, and it's just kind of running rampant in her face. And that's probably why we have this drainage, is because there's probably something that's rotting in her face, and it's so acidic that as it's coming into her mouth, it's eroding the teeth.
She also wanted to say, quote, I've been faking it. I'm fucking miserable. My best friend's been in the ICU for 2 weeks and isn't getting better. My face is worse than ever. It's literally melted away.
Yeah.
That was on March 6th. So, yeah. She also wanted to say this. When doctors at Cedars put me on antibiotics and fungal medication, I was getting better. I looked normal, but I couldn't afford to stay on them. I was forced to see doctors outside my insurance because the doctors at Kaiser's had no clue. I need my life to change. That is my real life health update. So, yeah, she went to Terry Dubrow and she said no cancer was found. She's still waiting for the full results, which can take up to 6 weeks. So I guess they're in this like probable interim phase of him trying to understand what the situation is. But yeah,
I mean, if she was on antibiotics and the antibiotics were working, then that tells you that the issue was bacterial and there's some sort of bacteria that's growing inside her face, which the only way it would get in there, I would imagine, would be through a bad injection.
So in December, she also said that she spent over $70,000 trying to find this resolution for the unknown, quote, parasite. She said, I don't go out. I'm spending all my money trying to figure out what's wrong with me.
But I don't think antibiotics affect a parasite.
Well, I don't know. There's so many things in our stories today that I'm like, don't know what's going to happen with this. Don't know what's going to happen with that. But I do know what's going to happen with our watch or skip because we have a review from you. And I know it's coming up with Running Point, which is a season 2. Quick announcement. And you watched all of season 1?
When is season 2 coming out?
There's season 2. It's been announced, but I don't know when. They said we got a season 2.
Running Point.
Not the live search.
Well, now I need to know. Are you sure? I'm not seeing that there was confirmation about a. Oh,
she posted on Instagram saying we're getting a season 2. It's all because of all of you. Thank you so much.
We're so thrilled to be able to deliver a season 2 of Running Point for the fans of the show. We still cannot believe the response from audiences. Thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to our partners at Netflix, Warner Brothers, and our star who brought the show to life, Kate Hudson, and executive producers, Jeannie and Linda, without whom there would be no Running Point.
Run away, girl. So it's coming for a season 2. I did not watch season 1, very candidly. Did you watch some or all of it?
I binged it all. It's really short, and it's just like it's fun. It's like a fun, quick show. Kate Hudson's really funny in it. You have Justin Theroux that's in it. His character's a bit of a douche, but it works. And so there's like a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of season 1. It's really good. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's kind of cheesy, but
It
like
looked cheesy in the trailer. It felt like the comedy didn't land, so that's why I didn't have an immediate watch.
it's not as good as what's that other one? The Foster Sisters one, Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell and Adam Brody. Like that's a great show. But because it's funny, it's well written, and it's also like, there's heart and depth to it. Whereas this other show, it's more cheesy.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. It's like Mindy Kaling style. Like Mindy Kaling, like it's her show. So think of like Parks and Recs and The Office. So like it's not as campy as those, but it's very rom-com. So think of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Like it's that style.
Didn't Kieran Culkin also have like an appearance as like in the basketball court scene, where he's like a fan and like they delay someone from coming out? I think I saw that because Brenda Song is in Running Point.
Oh,
That was Kieran Culkin.
was
Or
it Kieran
Macaulay
Culkin? I thought it was Macaulay
Macaulay
Culkin.
Culkin. I'm really disoriented every day.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
You're
What did I miss?
like,
No, it was Macaulay Culkin does have a cameo in it. Yes. It's very
I thought
brief.
that was very cute. I saw that and I was like, nice. Good
Just
for
like
him.
his cameo in Kim Kardashian's music video.
Yeah. He's a silent
Baby.
sleeper right now.
Da-da.
Aside from that review, though, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Maybe I'll give it a second take, knowing that it's really short.
Baby.
It's fun.
Well, did you also see that Meghan Markle got a second season?
She also got her second season that nobody wanted.
Which is not a real thing. She signed so that was a deceptive announcement because she signed a 16 episode contract and they just broke it up into 2 parts. So there's season 1, which is the first 8 episodes, and then there's season 2, which is the second 8 episodes. I don't think anybody's going to watch this second season though.
I mean, we got a lot of hype out of the first episode even, so I think it
But
got
nobody
some buzz
watched
people
it
to
all the
check
way
it out.
through. Like nobody's like, "Oh my god, did you see episode 7? It was so great." Like they made it to episode 2, which was the Mindy Kaling episode, and by now like nobody's continued watching it.
I mean, it got some people in. But aside from those season 2 announcements, we have a Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. That's so hard to say. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 2 announcement. The girls are back.
The girls are back. We got a teaser, and we have a release date. Right? It's in May.
May 15th.
Yeah.
Right around the river bend.
Yeah. Which I mean, I'm excited. Season 1 was good. I'm a little worried that season 2 is going to be overhyped, and I don't know. Season 1 I think was just exciting because it was new and it was different, whereas now I'm a little worried that this may become a little too produced and a little too fake, but we'll have to see.
We should try to see if the girls want to stop by. Maybe this time they have some free time.
Yeah.
Who knows? What do you think's going to happen in season 2? What do you think it's going to focus on?
Well, we have heard a lot of different rumors. So it's exciting that we have this other girl. Shit, what's her name? The girl that was part of the Swingers. Nobody knows her, so her name doesn't matter yet until the show comes out. But so the girl that was part of the swinging crew before Dakota came into the picture, when Taylor was with her ex-husband and they were swinging, and then now one of the swinging girls is coming on to the show. So that's going to be exciting. That's going to be interesting. We're seeing that Whitney's very much on the outs in this new trailer. We also see, Zack comes with his flowers for Jen Affleck, and so they clearly have
a child.
Complicated on again, off again situation. So it looks like it's going to be a good one.
What a time. Yeah. And
Lots
then
of layers to it.
We'll see what happens with all these husbands. So let's talk about the husband.
That too. But then we also have You, which is returning for its 5th and final season.
I'm tired.
And Badgley's back.
I'm glad this is the end, but like I just keep wondering, like, another one.
They say that there's a finale with a twist you will never see coming.
But
we see Candace is back. So Candace is the redhead that mysteriously like isn't really part of, like, we don't know, is she alive? Is she around? Like, we don't really know much about her or her history with Joe. But in the first 2 seasons, she was very much, or maybe the first 3 seasons, she was very much like an open-ended mystery that we had yet to solve. And so now we see that Candace is back. She's around. Um, there seems to be some big like public scandal, which is weird because last season Penn Badgley was like trying to lay low and under the radar, and now he seems fully exposed. And now there's a lot of, dirt that's trying to be dug up on him. So it looks like it's going to be an explosive season. I hope it's a short season, like a good 8 episodes that like really tie up the storyline nicely.
Yeah, I hope we get some good closure. Who knows if we'll get to season 3? I have no idea. That's maybe an untapped market. It depends on season 2 and how it performs, I think.
For what?
Oh, I had a moment where I just relapsed and went back to Secret Lives of Mormon Wives for a second. I'm like, I'm tired of talking about you. I feel like we have seen a new iteration. You cranked it, Soldier Boy, and I was just like, we're like most shows because of the strike and other things that happen. I'm like, I can't tell you shit that happened in season 4, but I can tell you it's the same shit that happened in season 3 and in season 2 and in season 1. There's a girl and you kill her.
Stops and whacks somebody every season.
Whack-a-mole, whack a Joe Goldberg, and that's what it is.
So we'll see how Joe Goldberg's story ends. I presume he doesn't make it out alive.
And I think some other stories don't end either, because this past weekend was the South by Southwest premiere of a favorite movie of mine. I'm not even kidding. Are
you excited to watch another Simple Favor?
I mean, no and yes. This past weekend was so strange because you and I were texting a little bit, and we were watching the South by Southwest like unveiling premiere carpet extravaganza.
Oh yeah.
It was just such a strange phenomenon. I've seen so many people on my threads literally on both sides of like, this is a very good way for Miss Lively to be like handling herself. Oh my God, like she looks so great here. She looks so excited. She has so many fans here. And I'm like, there's this other side that also had, focused on the people who were protesting, that girl that you had in your podcast before who held the sign. There were some interviews that were also strange. Like, I didn't see any interviews on the South by Southwest carpet except for this Variety interview. I saw nothing. Like, I was like, was there even a full set of reporters that were like lined up for press? Was this the only interview? Not even Blake spoke to press, but Anna Kendrick, we had 2 social clips that like came out of this. Anna Kendrick talking about, the movie, working on it. And then there was this response to a question that was alluding to the state of the world, everything going on, which was
you're
like,
a reporter, Andy, so why don't you give us some context as to what happens on these red carpets? So because like obviously Blake Lively in a big scandal, I would imagine that they kept the press like super tight so that there weren't a ton of opportunities for them to be asked questions. Where obviously Variety tried to like sneak in a question to Anna Kendrick, and then she gave like a really strange response about like, I think the question was, what is how do you
like
feel like the movie has been
movie
impacted with
everything
the
going
state
on in
of
the world?
And she's just like, what do you mean? I did ayahuasca, so the last year of my life, I don't remember, but I hear that the movie is fantastic. And then she kind of just scurries off. But so I predicted that the reporter was probably explicitly told not to ask about Blake and Baldoni. And so me as an interviewer, I take that and I'm like, okay, well, I'm explicitly told not to ask about Blake, but like, can I ask this question? Can I get the meat out of the interviewee by phrasing it in a certain way to set it up so that maybe they can open the door that I can walk through? And so it seems like that's what this reporter was trying to do. But since you do a lot of these red carpet interviews, do you often get told like, you cannot ask talent these certain questions? Like this is a no-go?
Yeah. So, I mean, when in my long-winded like explanation of the weekend, these clips of Anna Kendrick are interesting because there's this one where people are like, you ask a question about the world and the state of the world, which could mean a fuck ton of things. Does it mean directly
Yeah.
Like about the film? Is it about Blake Lively? Is it about politics? Is it about the fires? Like it can be about anything. And so you can take that as you will. I I people think that Anna Kendrick's response was amazing. And they're like, so good, so media trained.
Dumb.
Honestly, I think it was a poor response. I think
It
there's
was
a
dumb.
better way to answer that. She just had Woman of the Hour. She directed. Um, and so to even if you look at everything in the world right now, if you were like, let me really take a bow out on this and like you not talk about it, I'd be like, there's a lot going on in the world and phrase it back to like real current events. So no one actually touches
Yeah.
that
The
Blake
best
and
way to
Justin
answer this
situation.
Yeah, the best way to answer this would be like, you're right. There's so much going on in the world right now that I think we could just all use a little escapism. And that's what I love about this movie is that it's funny and it's fantasy and we're in Capri, so it kind of gives us that escape out of,
Yep.
what's going on here in the US and we just can kind of
Yes.
escape for an hour and a half. And I think people are going to love the film because it really does bring back the true elements that people fell in love with the first film. We have the
Yes.
comedy and then we have the dramedy that kind of keeps the storyline moving, and there's a plot twist at the end that I can't tell you about, but that's going to blow your minds. And
Yes.
then from there kind of pivot out of the interview.
Exactly that. And like again, everyone has a choice, they know what they're doing. But I think it was very tone deaf to say like I did ayahuasca. I don't know what happened the last year. I'm like, there's been a fuck ton of shit that happened in the last few months, even. Like, so it kind of
Yeah, she could have
it,
even related
it
it to like
gets
LA fires because there were delays that happened because of the fires. That like there were a number of things she could have tied this back to.
there are a number of things. I think it obviously deflects, but there's a better way to deflect
Yeah.
when it comes to a very good PR response. There's another clip also when someone was asking who was attending, how was it like working with Blake? And she goes, oh, that is the most interesting clip, I think, of all of it. Because people look back at like, how was Blake at this premiere? How was Anna Kendrick? And Anna Kendrick on stage was very much like, I saw people trolling this. Anna, what's so exciting about the floor? Like, why do you keep looking at the floor? Why aren't you making eye contact with Blake? And Blake's obviously like very much probably in a Katy Perry mindset where she's like, even if it's shitty behind the scenes, I'm gonna get up, do a show, do my number, and get out. So she's probably like hitting her beats. And whether she seems like she is in distress or not, she's acting up in some way, like trying to put on a show.
Yeah.
And that's just the tune of it. Like you have a job to do to promote something. And so she probably is either one, like that's actually how she is, or two, she's putting up some sort of I have to do this. And there's obviously a lot of people who say like Blake Lively doesn't seem phased, doesn't seem bothered. Is this really the face of someone who looks like they are uncomfortable about like the certain state of a current lawsuit they're in? But other people are like, she's doing a job. She has to put on that front. It was a very, very interesting just escapade to watch all these clips as they're coming out in live time because Variety's clips, some of them were not as public facing. So they at first would be on the feed for a couple different like platforms like Instagram. And then after a hot minute, it looked like removed, but they were just removed from the full feed and only kept on the Reels tab. So it looks like they're trying to hide like the I guess salaciousness of this story because Variety is a publisher. It's more known as like a trades update. It doesn't feed into a lot of like tabloid news. So I think either you have an editor on the inside who said like remove that like from as more a public visible side, or they got a tip saying like, hey, don't cover that. Like you're gonna get in some
It was
sort of
probably
libel.
Blake Lively's team. I'm sure because the content that they took off of the feed were two videos that were specifically not kind to coverage about Blake Lively. And like you said, there weren't a lot of people that even got guaranteed interviews with these stars, which is why I asked you earlier about, how the orchestration of these types of red carpets work because My understanding, or what I think happened just from being working on the talent side of things, I know that normally you set up the press, and if there's a scandal, you set up the press and you're like, okay, I can trust you. I trust Andy Lalwani at what's trending because I know you, I've worked with you. These are the three questions you can ask, or these are the three topics I absolutely don't want you to ask, or can you give me your questions ahead of time so that it's prepared, right? So that we know that guaranteed this isn't going to get twisted or picked up in a way that we don't want it to be picked up. So I think Variety got some sort of exclusivity to be able to get Anna Kendrick to trust her enough to walk up to do that interview. And for whatever reason, so there was clearly some sort of coordination between the Another Simple Favor PR team and Variety specifically, because there were no other. Well, Blake Lively actually gave 2 interviews on the red carpet. One was with South by Southwest, and the second one was with Amazon Prime. Also very orchestrated because Amazon Prime is the distributor of Another Simple Favor, and then obviously South by Southwest is the one producing the event, so they can very heavily curate those questions. And so I think Variety went off script, and then they also published, the woman, Colonel Kurtz, who had a protest sign up there. So I think the PR team for Another Simple Favor, or possibly even Blake's PR team, because I'm sure they had to have been looped in on this as well, was like, you guys can't have that out there. Like, we gave you exclusivity so that you can cover this, but yet we don't want those types of stories, and we made it
And
very
that's usually
clear
how
to
it
you.
goes. Yeah. Usually they're
made it
like,
very clear.
hey, like, you can't publish that, or like, you cannot work with that. That needs to be scrubbed. And so sometimes that comes after the fact, or sometimes people don't think they're going to publish something. And so when they do, the PR people, they kind of panic, being like, oh shit, they actually put something up about it. We thought that'd be unusable. So it probably is a mix of some sort. But there's a lot of vetting that happens for interviews. It's not just like everyone gets a chance to ask a question, everyone gets allowed on the carpet, people get denied, people don't even get like, sometimes the publicist will come up and say, you get 1 question or 2 questions. And you're like, fast, real fast.
Yeah, and so you have to think of like, well, what's a good enough question that can generate a headline or have some sort of longevity? So again, I think the reporter was smart to ask the question the way that she did of Anna Kendrick. I agree with you. I thought Anna gave a really poor response that just didn't land. And I didn't even think it was that funny, whereas people were like commending her on her humor, and they're just like, oh, what a brilliant answer. She's so funny. And it was like, I didn't even find it particularly that funny. I just thought it was very clearly making it more obvious that she didn't want to avoid the question, that she was irritated with the question, which I think in turn kind of didn't make Anna look the best. Whereas I think if she turned the question back around on the reporter and focused on how this is a positive thing that the movie's out and this can bring people levity at a heavy time, I think that would have been a more powerful way to respond to that. And that would have been more PR trained rather than the ayahuasca thing or the what she said. Well, like even Blake Lively, I think was more media trained because like they asked her, Blake, what was it like working with Anna? And she's like, oh, it was so great. I'm so happy. And then Anna gets asked the question in passing. She's like, oh, which I think just was so bad, which I think she thought was just a funny, sort of response. But I think rather than taking it sarcastically, people read the undertone. And you also have to factor in there are no photos of Blake and Anna together on the red carpet, whereas when they did promotion for the first Simple Favor movie, there were a lot of photos of just the two of them. The only photos we have of them together are full cast photos, or there's one photo with
like
the director Paul Feig in the middle.
And Paul put a comment responding to somebody saying like, I'm trying to remember the exact phrases. But
well, they said that something about Anna and Blake weren't getting, or that Blake
weren't getting along behind the scenes. And so he just put, no.
Yeah, he said, that's wrong.
And so he put, no. And someone quote posted it on Threads and said, Paul Feig shutting down the beef rumors between Anna and Blake. And it's like, that's actually not true. Until we hear from the horse's mouth, like, everyone's doing their job to promote a movie. They're like, keep on saying the good praise or whatever it may be, but we don't have anything specifically.
Yeah, Michelle or McKelly or McKaylee, however you pronounce his name, Maroney, the dude that plays Blake Lively's new love interest in the second film, he was happy to pose on the red carpet with Blake Lively. When she first showed up, he was right there next to her. They did photos together. She's, kind of adjusting him so that they can pose together. The only cast member that posed with her solo on the red carpet. So Anna Kendrick, this would have been a perfect opportunity if she was friends with Blake Lively, if she didn't want to feed into the feud rumors. She could have very strongly stood by Blake and did a photo as the two lead actresses in this film and posed together for a photo. And the fact that they didn't pose together at all, and the only photos we do see them in together, Paul Feig, the director, is in them, and he's very much trying to push the narrative that they're getting along. That, to me, really does feed more into the speculation.
You also watch the first movie interviews, and there are some jabs at each other, like playful, but they feel real a little bit. Like Anna's like comments, like, "Oh, no one likes you, Muffin," or something of the sort. It was like it feels very real at times. I've definitely seen a lot of the articles put out. I've definitely seen a lot of things put out for both sides. I think it's just for those who work at publishers and you start to think like critically about like what the assets that come in are, what the storylines, what the narratives are, what the behaviors are, it just starts to really add a lot of suspicionable doubt. Like time and time again, we have It Ends With Us. We had the premiere at South by Southwest. You have these patterns, and you as media start to report and say like, this isn't just a coincidence. This is now a consistent theme that's happening over and over.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's not hard if you really want to shut down the rumors to have them walk the carpet together. And Blake Lively's not going to turn that down, because to have another female actress by her side right now that's publicly standing with her, she's going to take all the allies she can get. And right now, all she has is Amber Heard, and that's not looking too hot for her. So this would have been a perfect opportunity for Blake Lively to have Anna Kendrick by her side, and they do a couple of interviews. And they could have done the Amazon Prime interview on the carpet together. They could have done the South by Southwest interview together, that I think would have, showed solidarity. It would have put the feud rumors to rest. And they could have equally, if a tough question like Variety asked, if that would have come to both of them, then it would have been an opportunity for someone to kind of soften that blow or like step in with something PR orchestrated. Like there were just better ways to shut down these rumors. That Paul's word on X is not strong enough for me.
No.
Especially when his wife is like going in the comments and she's like, she keeps defending Blake, and it's not a good look. And then they found out that like she was in the selfie line where the fans are, so that which also are heavily orchestrated, especially, with a celebrity that's in a scandal, they want to make sure that whoever that celebrity passes by, that those people are going to be favorable, so that way you don't have like a Peta flower bomb moment, or you don't have hecklers or somebody that has a secret sign that's going to come up that's going to look bad if there are photographers nearby. Like all of those things are all pre-planned from the talent side, that there were just a number of fumbles that I think, because there's so many eyes on this, it ultimately didn't land well.
Yeah. Well, that's our episode of the Pop Report. Get poppin'.
Get poppin'.
Get poppin' with the pop. Is that a new phrase we should adapt?
Get
popped. Other than that, yeah, girls, subscribe, do the damn thing. The girl count came out one time in this episode.
You're losing your luster.
I'm losing my girls. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to a new episode of the Pop Report. Be sure to subscribe. Drop a comment below, weigh in on your thoughts on Anna and Blake. Do you think that they are feuding? Do you think that they secretly hate each other? Are they tolerating each other? Is Paul Feig...
Do you think I secretly hate Zack?
There you go.
There you go.
Read between the context.
Read between the bad reviews.
Subscribe, leave a review. We'll give you a shout out on the show later this week.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Well, oh my God, you made it this far in the episode. First of all, thank you so much. Second of all,
subscribe.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button.
Wherever you are, just do the damn thing.
Yeah, I don't care if you're on the bus, if you're on a Tinder date. Just hit the subscribe button right now. Show us some love. That way the next episode is fresh in your inbox.
And we'll see you soon.